Goddess Anahita is the consort of the god of light. And so we'll be talking today about Goddess Anahita and a little, just kind of working her into our meditation. And so I want you to prepare for a seated meditation. If you want to get a cushion to sit on, you can do that. Make sure you grab that. You want to elevate your hips a little bit so that your hips are a little bit higher than your knees. If you have tight knees, this might be something that's very important to you to sit on at least 2 cushions. And so take a minute to get settled in. If it's cold in your area, grab a blanket and just cozy in. It's really important right now to kind of cocoon, and feeling that cocooning nature is one of the things that is symbolic about this time of year. We try to fight it, and we try to think, oh, we have to do and do all this stuff. Well, thank you for the hearts, y'all. And we feel like, oh, well, I'm not productive. But actually nesting and cocooning is productive. That is what you're supposed to be doing. So when we talk about Goddess Anahita, she's moving into that place of light. So as we move from fall to winter, winter to spring, and she symbolizes fertility and relationships and sexuality. Like I said, she is the consort of Mitra, the god of light. And so she is very symbolic in this practice. And the Babylonian goddess of fertility embraces the attributes of fruitful, warm waters that flow from the celestial realms into our lives, especially as the earth is renewed. Her name translates as the humid, immaculate one, and art shows her as a strong maiden who creates life and pours blessings. And during the height of the Babylonian civilization, she was also the patron goddess of civic prostitutes. If any of you have ever studied Carolyn Meese is a wonderful PhD who has incredible teachings on the archetypes, and the prostitute is one of the 4 foundational archetypes, meaning that not the prostitution in the way that you see as sexual sales or sexual body being sold. Everyone has a price. There's something out there that's going to buy you out of your values and make you shift. And there is always going to be that price, no matter what it is. And so as the symbol of the archetype of the prostitute, what would take you out of your values and what would force you to make a decision to do something that normally would not be in alignment of your values? And that's what the prostitute archetype is about. So thinking about those things as you work with this goddess, she is one of the earliest of the great mothers. She was the ancient Persian water, like I said, of fertility. And she was also a goddess of war. She embodied the physical and the metaphysical qualities of water, especially the fertilizing flow of water from the fountain of the stars. Thus, she ruled over all the waters, the rivers, the streams, the lakes, and the sea, as well as the life-giving fluids of mankind, such as semen and mother's milk. And she's always depicted with these beautiful, bountiful breasts as a young maiden. And she is a young virgin with full breasts. She's dressed in golden robes, complete with jewels and a beautiful halo crown. And she has a diamond tiara. And sometimes she's carrying a water pitcher. Her name means the Immaculate One. And she was viewed as the Golden Mother. She's also a warrior maiden. The dove and the peacock are her sacred animals. And so the god Mitra in Indian mythology is the god of light, and she's seen as his consort. So as we move into this, Mitra was associated with the sun god and Helios. Ancient Egyptians celebrated the rebirth of the sun at this time of year. And so they set the length of the festival at 12 days to reflect the 12 divisions in the calendar of the sun. They decorated with greenery, palms, shoots of palm shoots, the symbol of the completed year. And since a palm was thought to put forth a shoot each month, it's a perfect depiction of the 12. And so this is kind of the pagan reasons why there's so many different things in the Christian calendar now in the Western world that's celebrated. So thank you so much for your hearts. Y'all are so sweet on Facebook. So the annual renewal festival of the Babylonians was adopted by the Persians. One of the themes of these festivals was the temporary subversion of order. So masters and slaves exchanged places, a mock king was crowned, masquerades spilled into the streets, And as the old year died, the rules of the ordinary living were relaxed. So maybe you're wondering about the concept of the 12 days of Christmas. And so that's midwinter festival of the ancient Egyptians celebrated the birth of Horus, the patriarchy of the earthly king, and then the son of Isis, the divine mother goddess. And it was 12 days long, reflecting their 12-month calendar. This concept took firm root in many other cultures, and in 562 AD, Christians adopted it. Church leaders proclaimed the 12 days from December 25th to Epiphany as a sacred festive season. So Emperor Constantine actually was the one who first moved the celebration of Christmas to December 25th. So as you can see, that's not the actual date, and that's why the energy doesn't necessarily match. Like when you feel this energy, it's usually right around the solstice. It's like this time of nesting, this time of self-reflection, this time of sitting with your shadow. And it doesn't necessarily happen on Christmas. So that's because the energy was shifted in 562 AD by Constantine. The authors claim that Constantine followed the cult of Sol Invictus, a monotheistic form of sun worship that originated in Syria. It was imposed by the Roman emperors on their subjects as earlier. And his primary obsessive object was unity in politics, religion, and territory. A cult or state religion that included all of the cults within it obviously helped to create this objective. And in the interest of unity, constantly deliberately chose to blur the distinctions among Christianity, Mitraism, which is the sun cult, and Sol Invictus. So he took all of that and just mixed it up and created chaos and confusion. And so that explains a lot. That's why Constantine declared that Sunday, the venerable day of the sun, would be the official day of rest. And then early Christians delivered that a holy day to be a Jewish Sabbath, which they moved it from Saturday to Sunday. And that's also why, by his edict, the book claims that the celebration of Jesus' birthday was moved from January 6th, which is actually the Epiphany, to December 25th today, celebrated by the cult of Sol Invictus as Natalis Invictus, the rebirth of the sun. So there's a really fun practice if you wanted to participate in a really fun practice. This is the king of the bean, and as I was mentioning there, in this day of the return of the light, it was like a big festival, masquerades. Whenever you think about someone wearing a masquerade, it's about putting on that shadow face or that altered self, and so that way you can be somebody that you normally boldly would not step into. So you put that mask on, and then chaos erupts. And so this is where the king would be switched around, the queen, there would be a false king, there'd be a false queen. And so there's a little practice that's linked to the 12th night, and it's the baking of a cake, and they put a bean in it. And I don't know if you all have heard of that, but when you get the bean, then you're the king. And so it's the 12th night cake. And I have a recipe here for the 12th day cake, and I will post the link to this download for you in the Facebook comments. But basically, they put a bean and a pea in the cake. If you get the bean, you're the king. If you get the pea, you're the queen. And so this is evolved into a holiday practice for baking a cake containing the bean. Eventually, it was linked to the 12th night. Medieval versions contained the bean and the pea, one for the king and the queen. And the Candle Grove visitor explains that the tradition is the bean is for the king, the pea is for the queen, and if a female gets the bean or the male gets the pea, then they get the honor of choosing to be the king or the queen. That kind of leads to the celebration of the king's cake at Mardi Gras, right? So you can see how all these traditions are pulled from ancient traditions and pulled into modern day. So I have a recipe. It's basically a rum cake. It's rum, raisins, currants, butter, sugar, eggs, cinnamon, nutmeg, mace. What is mace? Is that a spice? Maybe it's like clove. Lemon, one dried pea, one dried bean, and then almonds and flour. And then you make fancy icing. So that is a fun tradition you can do. We're going to begin our guided meditation, just a short practice here with Reiki. So you can find a seated meditation, but again, since it is that time of year where we want to really go within, and introspection is one of the keys here, we will also have the opportunity just to lay flat and just cover up with a blanket if you're cool. You can grab a blanket. So you can grab the blankets, your pillows. Go ahead and join me for your guided Reiki meditation. So taking your seated meditation, and again, make sure your knees are dropping below the hip level and the shoulders are relaxed back and down away from the ears. And just closing the eyes. Now we're going to just take the hands and scan the energy body, starting at the base of the spine, at the front of the body, at the root chakra. And just placing both hands over the pelvis at the very front of the pubic bone. And what I'd like you to do today is ground down into the earth. Imagine from the center of your perineum muscle, which sits right between the pubis and the anus, and that little point of muscle, you're going to draw the energy in and up by squeezing and retracting that energy, and it's called Mula Bandha, and you're pulling the pelvic floor slightly in and up. For men, I heard that the easiest way to explain it is as if you stepped into a pool of cold water. For women, it's kind of like cutting off the flow of urine, but then you pull that energy into your body. It's not just at the urethra. So you pull the energy in and up, and that closes off the energy at the base of your spine. And then begin to ground down into the earth. You're going to send some type of cord or some type of root, whatever comes to you, a thread, a tail, an ivy, vine, whatever that is, and root it down through the earth. It punctures the ground and it goes deep, deep down through the fertile waters. And we're tapping into Anahita, the goddess of the fertile waters, through the bedrock with your energetic connection. It could even be like a giant electric cord. And once you get into that sacred water, the water that lies beneath the surface of our planet, where it's pure spring water, we're going to plug into that water, and we're going to pull that energy up into our root chakra, into our sacral chakra. So bring your hands above the sacral chakra, right over the belly, and just begin to continue to hold your root lock. So you're containing the energy within your own energetic body, and you're pulling that energy in and up through the root, through the earth, into your belly, and just begin to feel that energy nourishing. It's almost like you're drinking in this golden honey tea. It's like turmeric and honey and chai and all these yummy spices. Nutrients are being pulled up from these sacred fertile waters. The fertile waters meaning it has all of the nutrition, all of the energetics, everything we need is provided. Pull that into the body. Energetically as well as physically. This is your spiritual food as well as your energetic food. So tapping into these greater energies, goddess of the earth, Gaia, she is the consciousness of our planet. Pachamama is what the American Indians call her. And then we're tapping into goddess Anahita, which is a subservient to the earth. She is a goddess that lies close to the earth. The water always is married to the earth. She takes the shape of the earth. She is always moving in the downward flow, the apana energy, grounding down, down, down. And feel yourself just relaxing and melting into the earth, just like water, seeping through the cracks. Let your body be completely softened and relaxed, and softening and opening and just allowing all those muscles to let go. Just deepening the breath. And as you keep this deep connection, then begin to scan the body and pull the energy up into the solar plexus. Still holding that root lock with just about 20% of your energy. You're not clamping, you're not gripping, you're just tying yourself into Mother Gaia. And pull this energy of this beautiful sacred water up into the solar plexus area, into Manipura chakra. And just feel your belly expand. You breathe in and then relax as you breathe out. And breathing with your belly. Imagine you see a puppy or a baby breathing. they breathe with their whole body. They don't breathe with the top of their chest. That's a learned experience. Breathing with our whole body. So deep, full, long inhales. Letting the belly expand and soften. And just continue breathing deeply in and out. Pulling in this sacred water. And you can begin to kind of make a spiral motion around your belly, moving that water, letting it wash your organs. Taking the hand in a counterclockwise circle. And continue this motion, breathing in, and just continue feeling that water just swirling back and forth. You may rock the hips back and forth a little bit. Just loosen up the sacral chakra. Rocking side to side. You'd like to let your hands rest on your lap, or you can let them rest on the belly. Just nourishing the body. Keep the hips moving side to side, and then tilt front and back. Forward and back. And really exaggerate the tilt of the pelvis. Still staying in your meditative state, but moving that energy. Rocking forward and back. We'll do that a few more times. You're doing a good job. Forward and back. And just letting this energy move. It gets very stuck here, especially in women. So tapping into that fertile maiden energy, energy of expansion, and the energy of apana, that downward flow, tapping in, drawing deep into our resources on this winter solstice, pulling from the earth, and moving the energy up into the heart, placing the hands over your heart chakra, palms to face the body. You have small energy centers that are minor energy centers in the palm. And so placing the palm toward the body, and then we'll just take either one hand on top of the other or one hand above the other. And just continue this rocking forward, back, and just kind of change it up side to side. And imagine you're just in a boat. So you're now riding that fertile water in a canoe. And just letting it move. It's unpredictable. I'm telling you, water is completely unpredictable. And she will not be obedient to us. She is only obedient to the earth. We can ask her to be redirected. We can ask her to move. We can ask her to not do this and not do that, and to build walls and dams and sandbags. And she's going to take over if she wants to take over. And so the energy of this fertile water is not only that gentle stream, but the energy, the chaos of a hurricane. Just feeling that energy. That is the energy of Goddess Anahita. She is the goddess of war, pulling in the power of a hurricane, tapping that in, bringing it up to your heart. We're transmuting the chaotic energy of that hurricane into love. We're letting that fear that comes with danger and hurricane energy transmute into power. So shifting that fear, shifting that shadow side of this goddess into power and love. So where is that shadow side within yourself? That thing that we've been doing through that mirror practice, that mirror work, reflecting in the shadow self, looking at the inner child, looking at the critical parent, all those roles within ourselves. Keep moving. Water is never still. So what are those areas where we feel that we get so irritated with other people? Those areas where those people just grate on our nerves. They could just simply walk into our room and we're already irritated. What are those qualities? Now reflect those qualities back to yourself, because as the Native Americans say, when you're pointing your finger, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. So what are those qualities that you need to transmute into love? You are working with this goddess. You're doing the work. Do you need to forgive those people? Forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness, they may never have to hear the words. Forgiveness gives you freedom. So today, as we reflect in this darkest hour, where can you find freedom? And how can you transmute the energy of irritation and chaos and agitation and fear into that energy of power and love? So think about the force of water, and as you dam that water and create a beautiful dam. Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon or seen pictures of the Hoover Dam? The amount of energy that is contained there is able to run cities of energy because of the contained energy of the water. That is the power you contain within your body. We are almost all water. Our planet is almost all water. This is power. How can we transmute this power right now into love? Let's bring it up into our voice, into our throat. And this is where we find our truest power here, is to speak it. And so we're going to practice a very simple breath into the nose, out with a ha, with an audible sound. Inhale. Ha. Makes a sound. Inhale. Ha. So pulling that water up and transmuting it, feel it like a mist coming out of your mouth. Breathe in. All the way out, all the way out, all the way out, all the way out. Squeeze it out. Press it out. You have 20% more air. Exhale it. Ha. Inhale. All the way out. Ha. Good. Keep going. You might have to cough it out. Ha. Keep squeezing. Press in enough belly button. Ha. Ha. Where's the rest of the air? Squeeze it out. Purge it out. Ha. Good. One more time. This time we're going to support the back of our throat and the front. Breath in. And out. All the way. Keep going. Squeeze the rest of that air out. Let's shake it out, side to side. Whew. Good work. Good work. Whew. Shake it out. Shoulders. The arms are directly connected to the heart chakra. So taking your arms out to the side, just shake it out. Release it. Whew. Roll out the shoulders. And keep pulling the energy up. Now imagine that mist that we're pulling up as water. It releases as mist. And how I see that is how the rainforest gets nourished. The rainforest gets nourished by that soft, gentle mist. It's not a torrential downpour most of the time. It's just that soft, gentle mist. And so as we breathe out, we spread love and light and energy just to whomever we can breathe on. Breathe in. And then spread that into your city. So whether you're joining us from Baltimore or Sacramento, Houston, Dallas, New York, or wherever else in the country, we're going to spread this energy, bringing it up from this fertile goddess and out is a mist. Imagine it covering your city. And it might take a color. Mine right now seems to be kind of green and purple. So breathing in this mist and sending it out to your whole entire state. And let it lay over a blanket of your state just with love and light. And you're not doing this, you are channeling this. This is very different. You're moving this energy for the earth goddess Anahita. Now continue to let that beautiful mist cover our whole entire country and our whole entire continent. Breathing in, and it lays kind of like a blanket over the whole entire land. And people don't even know it, but they're walking on it, and they feel this mist, and it comes into their feet and into their legs and into their root chakra, and then they begin to transmute chaos into power. They begin to transmute confusion and fear into love. And this is how we reach the planet, through these beautiful divine meditations. Keep sending that energy. We're going to move it up to the third eye. So taking your fingertips over the third eye. You can also take a mudra here. Today we're going to use an upward facing triangle, moving prana, moving energy. So we're calling it in now, bringing it in from the great star nation. Goddess Anahita is also over the star nation, and so she is a magnificent, huge goddess. So pulling in that energy from the celestial bodies, from our beautiful grandmother moon, the great star nation, the great mystery of the universe. Tapping into this beautiful cosmos, still staying grounded. You still have that plug tapping you into the earth, to the sacred water. But now we're pulling it in from above as well. And feeling it here in our third eye. Sending in our intention of freedom and power and love. Moving through the divine feminine in all of us, whether we're masculine or feminine in this body, we're moving this energy through the divine feminine, shifting it into peace, shifting it into love as we return from darkness to light. And then taking the lotus mudra above the crown of our head. So this mudra has the heels of the hands together, the pinkies together, the thumbs together. The other three fingers are open wide. And we're just taking and bringing above the head here. And just bringing in our gifts. We're pulling in this energy from the sacred water. This water is also muddy, and it's dirty, and it's full of all kinds of nutrition, but it's stinky, and it takes us to trudge through it in these rain boots. And we have to trudge through the muddy water to see the lotus emerge. So it comes through our heart chakra as a girl. And this energy is bright and beautiful white. And the energy is drawn up from the nutrition and the nutrients from the goddess of the fertile waters, Anahita, and our mother planet, Gaia. And then we allow our gifts to come to fruition in the world by allowing that lotus to bloom without even being scathed by this muddy water. This lotus blooms out into the universe, offering our gifts of time and talent and service. And it never even touched the mud. And just bringing this lotus down into our heart, bringing those gifts that we've been given from Great Spirit into this world, through the third eye, through the fifth chakra. We see it, we speak it, we bring it in. And then offering this lotus as an offering, however you're going to show up in the world this next decade. And you don't even have to know what that looks like. You just have to have the intention to move it and transmute it. Transmute that energy into power for the good and love. Love is real. Only love is real. We'll close with our hands at our heart center. Honoring our ancient teachers, honoring all these beautiful archetypes of energy that we can connect to, and thanking Great Spirit for defining these archetypes so we can navigate through the chaos and we have a compass. And thanking yourself for showing up to do these practices, thanking yourself for being present on this winter solstice to navigate, be the light. And as we all bring our lights together, Then we all begin to shine so much brighter, exponentially, into the world. So bringing your love light into the world in this new decade, showing up in your power, letting go of chaos, letting go of fear, letting go of the smoke in the mirror, and stepping through that smoky mirror, stepping through that illusion into your truth. How is it that you are meant to show up in this world? That is what is real. Only love is real. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. So we're going to just move through a very gentle yoga practice just to keep the energy moving and flowing. It'll be very short. And so if you have your blanket, you can either lay it out on your mat or you can scoot it out to the side. Thank you for that beautiful meditation. It's lovely. So I'm going to start us off in child's pose. So just moving your props out. We're just going to begin in child's pose. We're going to just move through some very simple, almost Kundalini-like movement. So just stretching your hips back, stretching your arms forward, and just be in Balasana. And we mentioned earlier that in Balasana, babies naturally fall into this position. They can just totally fall asleep right here, little toddlers even. It's when we get older that we forget that we can be comfortable in this position and that we can be in a place of rest here. So I encourage you to bring your knees a little bit wider and drop your hips back a little bit more. And if you have your prop next to you or your blanket, you can even just take that underneath your chest and just snuggle down. And then if your head was turned, go ahead and flip. We'll take 2 breaths the other way. Keep the energy moving side to side. Side. And then coming up. We're going to move those. Place them down below your chest. And then we're just going to place our hands in all fours, or our knees in all fours. And then we're going to keep the knees stacked right underneath the hips. So keep the hips fully supported in this practice. And then begin to just walk down until your chest can touch your props. And you'll see little kids doing this too. This is a very simple posture for little kids to do. But it sometimes seems really hard for us to do as grown-ups, right? And so be a little kid and just be playful and let yourself just melt into your mat. Some of us might have shoulder restrictions, so you can take your hand back one at a time. If you feel any tension in the shoulders, just do one arm at a time. You want to be resting on your heart center and let the energy just drop through your heart. So we're connecting our heart into Mother Gaia, our planet. Breathe. And again, breathe through your whole body. And exhale through your whole body. So we can use that beautiful mist into the nose, out the mouth, and creating a beautiful pink mist as we breathe out through love. Pulling in through our source. Your arm was back, switch. And then out through the mouth. Let yourself just melt a little further. Deep breath in. And then melt. And then one more time, maybe with both arms forward or both arms back. And then release. And you might feel silly doing some of these practices. Go ahead and come up to all fours. We're just going to rock the hips side to side. And we're just going to move that energy out. In and out through the nose. Move your props out. And in your all fours, we're just going to move through some cat and cow breath. Very simple movement. This is not rocket science. This is just simple, slow flow yoga. Breathing in, opening the heart, lift the chin. Now with a ha, use that beautiful pink or green or purple mist. Ha. Squeeze it out. Remember, you still have 20% more air to squeeze out. Ha. And breathe in. 2 more. And then move, this time move the hips side to side. Keep breathing out, sighing it out, side to side. One more time. This time I want you to really commit to squeezing all of that breath out. This is where we start fresh, with the whole fresh set of breath. Squeeze it out. And breathe into the kidneys this time. Nice. We're just going to roll the shoulders side to side. Let's go ahead and come into seated, and we're going to sweep the feet forward. And we're going to take a moment to celebrate Mitra, the god of light. So he will be coming in today as the days grow longer after today. And so this is a celebration, and we're coming into staff, Dandasana. Danda is a rod or something very straight. A staff has been used in power. The wizard uses the staff. Moses transformed the staff, and as he threw it, it turned into a snake. Total transformation. So staff pose is really, really powerful. This is a great pose for alternate seated meditation as well. And so grounding down into the earth, and we're going to add a little bit of movement. So we're just going to move the hips and shoulders side to side. So keep your legs fully grounded. Your toes are active, and see if you can spread out the toes, creating little spaces between your toes. We call yogi toes. And just move the hips and shoulders. We keep those legs grounded, tapped into the earth. And just moving in little spirals. So we're pulling up prana, and we're also grounding down with apana. The two opposing energies are always married, just like Mitra and Anahita. They're consorts. They're the yin to the yang. So prana and apana. And so that downward flow of energy is also what helps us to rise up. Many of you yogis might have heard the term root down to rise. And that means that the tree has to grow the roots first before the branches can arrive. So now we're just beginning to pull this energy up from the root chakra, up through our spine, and letting it swirl around. As we'd already activated all these chakras with our Reiki and our guided meditation, the energy is freely flowing. So let your spirals and your shoulders and your ribs get a little bit wider. And move that energy up and out. And now we're going to begin to let the energy come up and out through the crown of our head. We're going to connect with source and pull bright white light energy down into the root chakra, and we're going to ground it down into the earth through the large muscles of the legs. So keep moving in little spirals, because energy moves. It's never stagnant, never still. And so we're moving this energy through Ida and Pingala, which are the two masculine and feminine energies that move through the primary channels on the left and the right side of the body. But then we're also activating that central channel, that Sushumna channel. It's kind of like the big highway of energy. And we're pulling that down from the central channel, from our source, from our divine white light source, which has never been external. It's always within our heart. But we can also tap into it from these celestial bodies above, the great star nation, our sun, And so take a moment to tap into the energy of the sun as we begin to feel it shifting just ever so strong, just a tiny bit stronger than it was yesterday. But we feel it. We feel this prana coming into the body, and it's moving down through apana energy, and we're pulling it up through prana energy. Just feel this marriage of those two energies. We're going to take a moment and just surrender, taking your props onto your lap. Grab a blanket or whatever you have nearby. And we're just going to simply fold over. Keep your toes in yogi toes. Keep those toes spread out. Take a tiny lift. We're leading our heart center, the center of our heart, toward our toes. Deep breath in. Grab behind the back of your thighs. And then pull yourself forward and just let yourself melt and surrender. Tiny lift. Moving into moving into forward fold, Paschimottanasana. And fold again. Slide the hands down the back of the legs a little bit more, but not so much you're rounding your back like a candy cane. You're more collapsing like a V. So between that V, you're putting your props. So you have to have something between your chest and your legs, so that way you can use the apana energy, that downward flow, okay? And fold. This time, tuck your props in where you're nice and cozy, and just let yourself drop. Use gravity. Gravity is our friend in a yin practice. It is one of the most delicious and yummy energies we can tap into. And we can also take a moment to be grateful, because gravity keeps us from flying off into space, right? Something we don't think about every day, but I mean, we literally would if we didn't have gravity. So take a moment to be thankful and just surrender to the pull of the earth. Take a tiny lift, lengthen, and you adjust your props and fold. If you are flexible, this is not a goal, but if it's easy for you to grab your feet, go ahead and grab your feet. Take a tiny lift. And then you can pull your elbows back towards your body by either holding behind your calves or around your feet. Breathe. And fold, shaking the head out. And then slowly coming back up. Come into seated lotus or half lotus, if that's comfortable for you, to close our practice. And so lotus is a deep hip opener. If your hips don't work like that, I get it. So you can find Siddhasana, which are the ankles are apart. You can find just regular easy seated. But if your knees are way up here, folks, you've got to get onto your prop, because you've got to bring your hips level with your knees or higher. So it doesn't do your hips any good for you to be sitting like this. So get 2 props, 3 props until your hips are level with your knees. If you have been practicing for a while, or if you're in the open hip club, that might just be how you're born, you can take your heel and bring it up and over. Good. So that's the last part of it here. I'm going to let these people in. And if you'd like to deepen the practice, you can bring your other heel up and over and do your full lotus. Now your heel is flexed, your ankle bone is over your femur. If you need a little prop here, you can tuck it underneath one of your knees. And we're going to just take full lotus with lotus mudra. So again, making your lotus mudra at your heart, honoring the return of the light, honoring the ancient consort of Mitra and Anahita, honoring our Earth Mother, Father Sky. Take a moment to connect to the beautiful return of the light, committing to what that looks like every day and being fully present to transmuting this energy into power for the positive and for love. Bringing that through your throat, speaking the truth, walking your truth. Wearing your medicine on your face, wearing your painted face. Letting go of fear and just walking the path you were born to do. And then bringing that lotus over the third eye. Calling it in, connecting, listening to our intuition, and responding properly. And then bringing it over the crown of our head, offering our gifts, time and talent and service to the world. Close with an Om, hands at our heart. If you're on Zoom, make sure you're muted and Om with me out loud. So you can come into any seated posture for your Om. Deep breath in. Om. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining us.